Hey guys, what's up? FleaFC here, and today we're back with another tactic video. Now this one came to my attention actually as I was flicking through a Football Manager group. There's a lot of times that I notice a lot of people can't get the best out of their players. I think it's because of very overlooked bit of Football Manager to do with the tactics, which is really focusing on your vocal points. Now I'm going to explain what I mean by this. But if you're into tactics, that sort of thing, I would definitely just stick around, and you might pick up some bits, you know. So anyway, I've got Liverpool here. Forget about this formation completely, because we're going to be mucking about with quite a lot throughout this whole little bit. But I'm going to explain what a vocal point is, how to get the best out of it, and things like that. Now, as I was explaining to this person, they have Haaland. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but I think we all know the lad. There we are. Yeah. So he's got this laptop. He says he's not scoring goals, nothing like that. As we can see, he's a good striker. Okay, so he should be definitely scoring goals. 18 finishing. Oh, beautiful. So if we took into account, and this is the first time I've looked at him since the update, so these are a lot of new things to me. How is he going to score? Okay, now he's 6'5", which is brilliant. He's got good aerial ability, which gives us another option with him. He likes to try and beat the offside trap. He's quick. He can finish. The things he's not so good at, however, I wouldn't class him as a great dribbler. Long shot taker. Even to a degree, his heading isn't specifically amazing, but he's got great jumping reach, which means he'll win a majority of his headers. Yeah, so looking at it in those sort of terms, his position's not great. Yeah, so in those sort of terms, you have to try and work with what you have. Now, what we can see right here off the base of it, if he is going to be our vocal point, which I'll explain what all this is in a minute, but if he's going to be our vocal point, we need to get the goals out of him. Now off the ball, he's brilliant. He's quick, great composure, great finisher. So what I'm thinking immediately, with this composure, finishing and pace, I would play a more counter-attacking system. If I was a lower team with him, a counter-attacking system, or some sort of system where I can play balls over the top to him. Now, if I was to sign for my Liverpool save, the immediate issue I would have with him is a lot of teams are going to play defensive against us, which kind of makes him obsolete then, because whilst he's good in the air, he's not terrific. So if I was playing against, you know, that sort of thing, I'll probably put him as, what's he like as complete forward? He's not the worst complete forward. He could definitely grow into it. Yeah, he's got plenty of growing space. He could grow into a decent little complete forward. Obviously not someone I'd particularly go for, but yeah, he could definitely do it. Prefers to be on left hand 2 pairing or through the middle 3 pairing. Okay, cool. But anyhow, we're going to use players that are actually at our disposal, so I can show you the tactics base behind. So as I said before, I wanted to explain what vocal point was. Your vocal point is where the goals are going to come from. This can be anywhere on the pitch, par goalkeeper, and I'll explain why. It can even be your back line, but you tend to find your team becomes more potent the higher up the pitch they are, and that is usually because they have more chances. But I'll explain every sort of position. If for example our centre backs wanted to be our vocal point, you tend to find this with, I wouldn't say necessarily a vocal point, but a lot of teams use obviously goals by set pieces, and this is where your centre backs then become part of the vocal point, usually with a big target man. Okay, because that's how they tend to want to get their goals, is through the bigger players. You can even do it with the fullbacks if they are high up the pitch, you know, edge of the box shot and whatnot. But I'm going to explain the more common ones, being your front three. Now this is all, well, front four, three, however many you got up top. whoever the farthest forward is the most likely to get the most chances in your whole squad. And it just kind of gets slower and slower as you go on. Obviously long shots and midfields are great, but like I said, it depends. So we're going to go over the basics here. Now my vocal point in this squad is Salah and Mane. If I have a look at how many goals Salah has scored, he scored 16 in 27. I know Mane is lacking, I just don't know how much. 6 in 24. So Mane is definitely lacking on the goal front. Thankfully, Dybala's a really good player himself and has managed to get a lot of goals, but he is not my vocal point. What Dybala does, or at least this is how it happens in real life with Liverpool anyway, he'd do the Firmino role of dropping back, creating a 4, which means I can dominate the central areas of the pitch and the centre backs have no one to mark. You will then see, with my play instructions, I want them to sit narrower, and with them being inside forwards anyway, they'll cut in. So as Dybala goes back, Salah and Mane will come more central and create like a 2 up top. So it will be a 4-4-2, just a narrow variation, which is fantastic. It's great, it works, and these two end up usually getting the goals. But because Dybala's a very good player, he can't chips in. But he is not my vocal point at all. He is just simply here to create space and create passing lanes, which is why he has, well, he only has 4 assists, but I can tell you just from watching games, he does get involved a lot. Can I have a look at here? Reports this season stats. Yeah, we sat on here. So yeah, he's done 18 key passes. 18 key passes. I've played very similar all season, so it's fine. Salah's done 39. Salah's just fantastic though, isn't he? To be fair. And 18. So all my front three are chipping in. You don't always get this though. I'm just very lucky at the minute. These two seem to be my vocal points, although they're not meant to be. It is meant to be. Mane's just really off the pace. I have no idea. I can never really get the most out of him in Football Manager. But yeah. Anyhow, like I said, that's what I'm on from Dybala. He's meant to be coming back, so these two can be my vocal points. However, it's not just obviously that sorts the rest of the team. It depends how you're playing the remainder of the team. You know, for example, I'd usually set up something very similar to this. The reason being is because, as I said, when we're on the attack, it kind of looks a bit more like this, and then our wing backs kind of support the width. So this is what we look like more or less going forward, and as you can see, that's a lot of numbers. It is a lot of numbers, and it's absolutely fantastic because with all these numbers, as I said, you see Dybala then kind of creates the entire diamond. He's the link of all these. Our fullbacks usually just whip in the balls. Also, they pick up the lost balls. Then obviously 2 up top, 2 in the box. Brilliant. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. However, if I wanted to play with a vocal point, and let's say I was using Dybala, I'd have a look at him. He looks absolutely brilliant. He can score outside the box. I'd say the only bit he's not actually great at is aerial. He's quick, technical vision, attack, even physical. He's not really that bad. So you can play him in a number of positions, and this is why I signed him, for this very reason. How much I pay? 30 million. I mean, he's the one striker I would pay that on because he's just so good everywhere. I do like my complete forwards, but he won't be able to play that. The only reason being is because of his height. So the next best thing would probably be advanced playmaker and whatnot. If I wanted him to be my vocal point, he'd probably be an advanced playmaker. You look at all his stats, he's got that. He's down. He's happy to do it. Don't get it wrong, I'm currently training him to be an inside forward for obvious reasons, but yeah. So let's say I played him as advanced playmaker. If I wanted him to be my main vocal point, which I tend not to do with anyone that's not a complete forward, because I like to have two options rather than the one, these two would end up being wingers. Obviously you'd swap the size of their foot, and then I'd probably have, you know, just more attacking going forward. But this is how you get the most sort of goals, more or less out about. You see what I'm trying to do, which is Mane and Salah, rather than going for goal themselves, they'd help assist Dybala more. I mean, you can even put Trequartistas and whatnot, whatever you want to do. But the point I'm trying to make is you need a vocal point, and depending on what your vocal point is, depends on how you want to play. Like I said, realistically, I don't tend to like to use the striker as a vocal point unless he is a complete forward. You can go with things like poachers if you're up against it, but otherwise, if you're a big team or a well-established team and you've got the pick of the bunch, complete forward, because that means these guys are going to whip the balls in for them to get onto. These guys are playing through it as well as these guys. He can do a bit of everything then. Complete forward, in my opinion, is the best role attackingly for Football Manager. Not many people can play it though. I say not many. A lot of people can play it, it's just getting them to play it correctly. I'll show you my version of a complete forward. If I just type that in. Pop that in. Okay, one player's thing. No. Well, I mean, you can play complete forward, I suppose, but a complete forward is a bit of everything, and that's what you have to remember. None of these, in my opinion, are complete forwards, despite what this says. In fact, I will tell you, Ronaldo, in my opinion, is a complete forward. Because just look at it. I ignore the work rate, teamwork, because he's got other stats to back up. But he's quick, he's great in the air, everything you want. Lewandowski, I believe he's another one. If I just have a look at him, yeah, he'd be a complete forward. Once against 6 foot, he can do the job in the air. So that's a lot of it depends on what your vocal point is. I would say, and these are the two most common ones in my opinion, I like to either do a vocal point, say well, this works for any team, I'm currently using it on my Aston Villa one, and the wingers cross into the box for the complete forward whilst he's being played through as well. So you can do a bit of everything, it doesn't matter who you're against, he will be your vocal point. Like I said though, if you have great inside forwards, you can chuck a midfielder and this would work as a false 9, because he then lets these two come in and play. So I mean, let's see, is there a midfielder? I mean, I suppose even Keita could do it, to be honest, but any sort of creative midfielder would do this job fantastically, because false 9 is generally just a higher up midfielder. Yeah, he would do the job, simple enough. I forgot what I was actually training him as now. Oh dear. I think he was deep line support, there we go. But yeah, that is essentially why it works with Firmino. If you cast your mind back to the days of Barcelona where they had Neymar, Suarez and Messi, to begin with it didn't work, okay? And even nowadays they have Griezmann, Messi and Suarez and it's not working. The reason is they've got too many vocal points. Not all three up top are going to be fantastic. One has to suffer. At this point for some reason it's Mane, but it's usually either these two suffering or one of these doing a bit better than the other, and then your main vocal point being the striker. But of course that doesn't always work. as Barcelona finding out on 2 occasions. It's all well and good having the best this, the best that, but you need to have a vocal point and people to support that vocal point. The best way to put it is very simply, you could have the best player in, say, Ronaldo, in the championship, but if he's going to just be there passing to everybody rather than going for goal himself, and that you're not using your vocal point correctly. He is quite obviously your vocal point. So rather than have, say, inside forwards and that around him, I would have wingers, I'd have people passing the ball through to him, I'd play down, I would want to get the ball to him as much as possible and as often as possible. Very simple. I mean, here, you can, I mean, I've never had much luck with this. I do not like this formation whatsoever, but people have luck with this, and this guy can become the can become the passer for all 3 of these to make a sort of vocal point for all 3. Now, game to game, certain ones will suffer, but the idea of it is, and like I am not brilliant with this, so it's only in theory. In theory, how this should work is this guy gets the ball, Keita. Now you need a very good passer of the ball, the likes of De Bruyne, Silva and whatnot. Now you have your typical inside forwards, which is essentially then creating a 3 up top. He then spreads the ball to any of these. What I would then have as well, if you're going with inside forwards, almost always have wing backs. The reason is because they then come up and support on the wings, and that is essentially what you'd have going forward, which obviously looks very dangerous. Keita obviously stays just outside the box to keep spreading those passes. These guys just stay for lost balls, so if they don't get it and it's just cleared, you're going to re-pick it up again by any of these. You've got plenty of support back. I know your box to box will go a bit higher forward, you'd probably go up there, but your deep line playmaker will then help sweep the balls along with the centre backs. That is the only sense in which I can see you having 3 vocal points, but it takes a lot of mastering, I suppose. In terms of just simple vocal points, go like this. You know, it's either your wingers supporting, and this is what it says, supporting your striker, or your striker supporting your wingers. So, like I said, depending on what club you are, and I'll go for a few examples. Let's just say, for example, I don't know, let's go Burnley. If I was Burnley, right, so one of their better players, I would not play him as an inside forward, mainly because his finishing does not scream to me he wants to be a vocal point. Let's then go to Brady. What's Brady like? Once again, doesn't scream to me as a vocal point. Chris Wood, we know he scores a lot of goals. He looks more like a vocal point than the rest of them. And he could definitely play complete forward, although judging by his pace and that, I would probably just keep him as a target man. Whip balls into him. Look how many goals he scores, and this was a side like Burnley. And if you remember Haaland a second ago, Haaland only scored 10 goals for Dortmund. Granted, he's played less games, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Burnley are using their vocal point correctly, and in real life they do. And I can go on for days about it. Burnley, they use set pieces, big players, are then their vocal points. On top of that, crossing the ball in, everything like that, they're getting their big players on the ball, and their big players score that way. They're not gonna break on the counter and outrun your players. No, they're just big, strong players that want the ball whipped into them, which is why when you look at Burnley's team, they have ready-made wingers, or essentially, you know, wingers that can help defend as well, because that's the way Burnley play in real life. Moving on to let's say a team like Leicester, you know, notorious, obviously, Jamie Vardy. When you look at Vardy, similar story to Haaland. He's quick, He's not a bad height. I still wouldn't play him as a target man or whatever, but yeah, you can see he wants to break away. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to get his one-on-one opportunities. You look at Composure, anything like that, he wants those one-on-one opportunities and he'll put them away. You look at his partner, a bit taller, not as quick, but he's essentially a very similar player. He wants to get in and behind the defence because, well, yeah, he's 6'1", but I mean, if we have a quick look aerial wise, he's nothing special, and he will not beat centre backs in the air consistently. So obviously, like, you know, with Leicester, they play counter-attacking football, and this benefits them. Gray, I mean, we look at Gray here. Look at him, he's a winger. He's not an inside forward. So why would he be our vocal point? Wingers are made specifically to support other areas. Inside forwards are exactly what they are. They're inside forwards, cutting in from the wings to score the goals. Strikers, they can be either supporting or attacking as well. But yeah, it can be absolutely any team. You kind of get what my examples are here. Let's have a look at a team that's not doing so well. Chelsea. Okay, so Chelsea. Well, you can see going forward they really don't have much. I mean, their top players are just midfielders, defenders. So it's Pulisic. Now, you can see he's definitely a winger. I mean, he's all right as an inside forward. I would not say he is the vocal point of what is a top 6 club. So then we go on to Tammy. Okay, Tammy, he's big, 6'4", heading great, jumping ability great, and he would probably be the vocal point going forward. He's only scored 9 goals, which is less than, if I remind you, of Burnley. So why is that? Why is he? If I have a look at Pulisic, 15 games, 0 goals, 0 assists. So where are the goals coming from in this team? So we can then just see what's going wrong. Now I can explain it. Selection info. The goals are come from Willian. Willian, yeah, great, but he's more of a winger. He should not be the goal getter. I mean, yeah, it's only Fearshin specifically in that, but what I'm trying to explain is, whilst, yeah, he does look very good, and he is very good, and in real life, he does score goals. Look at his previous seasons, though, and this is meant to be their main vocal point? No. Not for Chelsea, it's not. Mason Mount, yeah, he could definitely be a vocal point, but no. 6 goals. I should probably look a bit more Premier League, shouldn't I? Competitions, Premier League, there we go. So in the Premier League, Tammy and Willian are their vocal points, but with only 9 goals apiece. Where are the assists coming from? Mason Mount and Willian. So it seems like Willian is taking on more of a Salah role in my squad, but nowhere near. Simply, and Mount. So it seems they're simply just, no, they're not using the vocal points correctly. Tammy should have a lot more goals, and he should. Because I would say he is the vocal point. Yeah, Willian and that can be helpful, and so can Mount, but they seem to me as more assisters. What I'd probably do is have Willian as a winger. I think he'd do a great job as a winger, and he'd definitely have more assists. He's not got bad assists as it is, don't get me wrong, but Tammy, complete forward, yeah, he'd definitely do a job. He can get in behind defenders, he can go up top, whatever you want to do, he'll do the job. Yeah, there's the odd thing he's not great at, don't get me wrong. He's not going to be your assist king, he's not going to score outside the box all that much, but he's definitely a great player. And that is exactly where Chelsea are going wrong there. So I hope this video has helped. If it has, please leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.